Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. So just before we get started, here on the screen you can see the URL where you can register for access for this event. So here we're going to give you access to the sandbox where you can try Samma out and discover all its different features. So you can also scan the QR code on the screen, and we'll be sharing the URL in the chat box. You can also find this information on our LinkedIn event page. So today we're going to be telling you all about Samma and its developer-first approach to vulnerability management. And we'll be telling you about the sandbox where you can try Samma out for yourself. So just a quick introduction. We've been joined today by the creator of Samma, so he'll tell you all about it, and we're very happy to welcome him here today. Mattias, can you please introduce yourself?
Wow, yeah. Sorry, I just got to pop up. Yeah, my name is Mattias. I created Samma a long time ago when I was working at Enterprise Holding. And we will get into why I created it, I think, later in the presentation. Today I work as a DevOps engineer at Booli Search Technologies. Yeah, forward to you.
All right, thanks so much for that introduction. My name is Inge. I'm a DevSecOps engineer here at Everable. So some of you might actually know us by our former name, which is the DevSecOps Academy. So we've recently rebranded and we've been renamed to Everable, but we still have the same aim that we had before, which is to make you hands-on in secure DevOps in a short period of time. And this we do through different products, like our courses, which are made to be short so that they can fit your agenda. And we've recently also introduced other products like assessment and today's sandbox. So the sandboxes have the aim of allowing you to try out a tool without having to install anything into your own environment. And then you can decide whether you would like to incorporate it into your workflow processes. And these products, like our sandboxes and our courses, are created by experts in the security industry and in the DevOps industry that are part of our fellow program. And Mattias is just one of these fellows, so we're very happy to have him here today. So you've joined us today for this event on the Samma Sandbox. It doesn't just start and end with this webinar. We'll actually be giving you access after this kickoff to the sandbox, so you can try out some of the things that we discuss here today for yourself afterwards. And we'll give you 2 weeks access. So this officially will end on the 27th of April. So now we've mentioned Samma several times, and I think we all want to hear a bit more about what exactly Samma is and where it comes from and what we can do with it today to improve our own workflow and security. But I think Mattias actually wants to start with a question.
Yeah, let's start with a small quiz here.
All right.
So where do you run your security scans today? And the questions are the choices is in our production environment only, in our automated pipeline and in production, or we don't run any scans today. I see that we have one answer here.
Mm-hmm. So we'll give you a few seconds to answer the poll that's on your screen. We're very curious to see if you are running scans, or maybe you're not, maybe you're planning to. Well, we're giving them a chance to answer. Mattias, where do you run your security scans? How would you answer this question?
Me, I would say that we run our scans both in the pipeline and on production. You want to check that when you deploy something, it's secure, a scan before you deploy it. But then also when you have things running, day 2 is coming and you need to check that what you have deployed is also secure. So I think it's a mix to run it on as many platforms as possible to get
as secure as possible.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to end the poll and I'll share the results. So here
it's good results. I thought it's going to be a lot more in production environment only. I think that was the start.
So we have
people are running scans in the pipeline as well.
We have a very secure audience.
Yeah.
All right, let's carry on.
Yeah. So I'm just going to add some pages. Sorry, I need to move this away. So, introduction to Samma then. And it's like, why did I started Samma and how I started using it? Many years ago, I worked at a big company called Enterprise, and they were really keen on security scanners. And it was good. They were big and had a lot of money, so that means we test a lot of scanners. But none of the scanners that we used I really liked that much, and I had some issues with them. And when I was working with it and find this issue, it was about that time I started looking at, can we make a better scanning tool here? And here's a list of the problems that I did find with these scanners, and I'm trying to sort out when I created Samma. And the first one is then prod. Now you're a good audience here, so you don't scan only in production, you scan in your pipelines as well. But when we started, we used scanning in production. And in production, it's really hard to fix issues. This takes a lot of time, and you need to go back to developers. So you want to scan your application as soon as possible. And say pipeline is good, but you can also scan them on the local developer environment. And what you see here beside is actually a small Samma scanner that just runs in a Docker and scans my local port. And this means that the developer can then scan the application locally before even committing coding to master. Another issue I had with the scanner was I worked with the scanner that run for a long time. I mean, we asked them, like, when are you running the scans? And they said, no, they're running all the time, and it takes about 24 hours to finish. And then it's really hard to work with because you fix the issue, and then you have to request for a new scan, and then you have to wait for 24 hours. So I wanted really to break that up, and I feel like the scanners should be very small scanners that you can run one at a time, and then combine the result could be the big outcome. But you should be able to run your scanners small and only do one thing. So you can, when you fix an error, then you can verify with a small scanner that you really fixed it. Another issue then is Excels. I got a lot of Excels, and you know, you get Excel, you try to fix the result, and you send the email back with the Excel, and then you get a new one back saying, oh, you fixed that, but here's some other things we got. And then it's just passing cells back and forward, and you really don't know what's the latest one. And that was also a thing that I want to look like. I want the results from the scans to be in a tool and accessible for developers, so they can look at the results by themselves and see what's going on. And we will come to the high ground later on here, but the result from the scan should be handed over to developers and teams in a better way than Excels. And then the last point is VMs. You ask a scanning vendor a little bit, like, can I ask you to test your scanner and run it here on my network? And I get back like, yeah, you can run it on VMware AS6 server or something. It's like, yeah, we don't run that. Can I just test your scanner locally and I just want to see how it goes and see the results here? And that was also a big pain. You see good scanners, you want to test them, but you don't really want to set up a big environment just to test small scanner. And again, here you see in the result here, you can just run the Samma scanner. It's really quick with just a Docker, and it just spits out the results. Really simple for you to show.
Could you maybe elaborate on what you view as the developer-first aspect of Samma and how this creates a developer-first approach?
Yeah, I think that, the developer environment, when the developer sits the most time, I think we should start the security from that point, because when a developer has the code base open and all the tools ready, then it's a good place to also securely scan the product, because then it's easy to fix. It's also a lot cheaper to fix because you can change it directly. So I want the scanners to be accessible for developers first approach, so they can test it locally and verify the application is safe, and then move it along in the pipeline and then into production as well. So the Samma scanners really starts from the developer and then it moves on. And I think that's a good phase. Also now we talk about the DevSecOps setup when you work with security.
Previously, you mentioned quite a funny thing that you get a lot of Excel sheets.
Yeah.
Have you managed to create a change within the company you're working on and move more towards maybe an automated approach that you would like as a DevOps engineer? Have you managed to actually get this change instigated and started?
No, we're trying to move away to have more trends and see more behavior of scans, like if we see scans or results that difference from what we had before, and then get a lot of that. But I'm sad to say I'm still getting Excel sheets from others to check us. If, for example, an external company do scans, I get Excel sheets. So, but I'm trying to move away from them.
Well, I wish you the best of luck with that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So when we talked about Samma is not really a scanner, right? It's not scanners. So, and that's strange, right? Because we talk about Samma and different scanners. So what is Samma then? Well, Samma is a standard way of starting scanners or other Docker images that you like. So we can start them, and then it will get the results from these tools in a standard way and format them and then store them on location. So that's really the key here. So when we talked about detecting a new target, for example, someone will detect the target for you and then it will start a scanner. But it doesn't really matter which scanner it is. It's just a standard way of starting a tool, a scanner tool here. And then when that small scanner is done, or tool, it will get the results and then store them in the same procedure, so it's tagged in the same way. So for you as a developer, or when you can look at dashboard, it makes sense when you look at the result. And then some is built up small components here, and you can see them here as well. But the first one, it's a small Kubernetes operator, because this is mostly built for Kubernetes cluster. And the operator detects target within the cluster. So when you deploy a service or application into the Kubernetes cluster, someone will detect, okay, this is an ingress here, this is service, and then it will also then say, okay, what kind of scanners I'm going to run here, and then we'll deploy the right scanners against this ingress and service. And so that's the operator. Of course, not everybody is using Kubernetes, so there's super simple API as well, which you can use curl to, basically. So you curl in with the JSON, the API creates a scanner inside the Kubernetes cluster, and then the scanners are kicked off and running. The console is a small cloud service I built together with Samma, which means that when an operator picks up a target, it will also update that for you in the console. So in the console, you will get a bigger view of all your targets that you have. So if you have multiple Kubernetes clusters, then they will all report up the console, and you can see all your targets in that one. And then I also added high ground here. High ground is not really part of Samma. It's made up of standard components. It's Elasticsearch in the bottom that will store all the results. And then the result can be visualized by Kibana and Grafana. And you can see the charts here kind of show how the flow is going. Like first it finds the app and deploys scanners. And then from that, it will take the output and pour it into Elasticsearch in this path, and then upload it to, and then you can visualize the result with Grafana in this case here. Yeah. So this is another quiz we have here for you. how do you track your scanning results over time here that you're doing good? And we also have, of course, we're using Excel sheets. This is a common theme we have here with Excel sheets. Or you can go into, maybe you have a scanning vendor and they have a portal that you use. Maybe you only pay attention to the latest and you don't track. You don't track your results at all. Or no, we don't scan our application at all.
We'll give them another half a minute to answer.
One of the things that I work with Samma was this. I see that we're popping up now and getting more and more that the scanning vendor has a portal. And that was one of the things that I had with Samma as well, right? When you talk with the scanning vendor and say, oh, come into my portal. And it's like, I have like 100 different portals to look at. It's for everything. It's for my Git. It's for, I have so many dashboards. Can we just get the results from the scans into my dashboard and use it there? And I think that's also one of the keys here. That's why we're using Elasticsearch and Grafana Kibana, because they are the standard tool that's used today in the Kubernetes cluster or developer environment, more or less. Yeah. And I see also that you pay attention to latest. I also get like emails saying like, hey, you have a high now 2 or something, maybe 3, and then you get a new email next week. You just look at it like, oh, okay, that's good. Nothing new, nothing new. And then you continue working. So I think it's good.
Are you using Samma in your work to have one dashboard to integrate all the results from different scanners?
Yeah, that was one of the keys here. So Elasticsearch, it doesn't have to be Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch is used a lot for data logs and metrics today if you use it in any Kubernetes cluster or any environment. So what I wanted to build was that the result from the scanners should be visible to the developer in the same tool that they're using. So today the standard is Elasticsearch, but if you deploy, on Google Cloud, maybe using Stackdriver, then it's no problem. It's to send the result into that tool. Or using some other tool. It should be easy to get the results from the scan into the tool that you're using today. So you don't have to go into another portal and fiddle around. It's just in your daily routine, you check your regular logs or your regular metrics. And it should also be the results from the scan step. So it's a natural place for developers to look at.
Yeah, so you're simplifying the whole process from start to finish. Yeah.
Otherwise, I think it's just going to be hide away in some other portal that you log in every quarter, because then it's going to be a security consultant that comes in and asks you, how are your scans doing? And think, oh, shit, I have to go in there and look. Should it be a part of your daily routine to also integrate the results from some security scans?
Talking about results, so we have the results from the poll.
Yeah.
So we.
Yeah, it's like this is I think the regular.
Okay, to only pay attention to the latest results.
Yeah.
And use a portal.
Yeah, I think that's what we have today, more or less. The scanning vendor has results, and you, sometimes you don't even have to look into the scanning vendor. You just get an email with your latest poll, right? Okay.
What would you say is the best practice when it comes to scanning results? How do you manage your scanning results over time?
I think you should look over the result. You want to see that you're doing good, and then you can look at that high. But I think also the trends is also good. When something finds that you have a Java application that's vulnerable, maybe you want to have a search and see for how long and see more trends how things are going. And one of the things that we will come in later is that Samma doesn't really give you a report like this is safe now. It's more like following a trend, like do you have a lot of high now? And then if that divides from the thing, I think Hans called it like monitor the gap. If the gap changes, then you get alerted. So the other vendors are more, the other scanning approach is just to check that, okay, this number is a new critical, fix it. But some are more look like how many critical are it? Okay, now it's more, now it's less, and then you can be alerted on that instead. So you have to look at the results from the scans and then set your own boundaries, like what is acceptable here. Yeah. So we talked about Samma, and we also brought up there some use case that you can have and work with it. And one of the use cases is that you can scan any target anywhere, right? You did see the Docker, where you can run your Docker image from your local against any targets, right? And Docker is super good because you can run them everywhere. You can run them on your local machine, in your pipeline, or in Kubernetes, or in the cloud. And just be able to run your scan everywhere is a big step, because then you can bring it really close to the developer when you're working with an application, just to verify that things are good, right? One of the other things that I want to do with Samma was also to, today you deploy your application in so many environments. You have maybe maybe you have some deploy merge requests, maybe you have a QA and another version of your application, and you want to scan them, all of them, but in the console you just want to see if one of them divides. So with Samma you can tag your application really good. It's just a JSON, so you can tag them up, meaning that Elasticsearch and Grafana, you just combine them together. So you can scan a lot of applications and then divide them by the number, and then see how many open ports they are combined, meaning that if one of them divides, you get alerted. I also use Samma a lot for pen testing. It's really nice for pen testing. There are some scanner with it that does a really good. We'll come to scanners later, but one of the scanners I have is a recon scanner just used for pen testing. And one of the clients I pen tested during last summer, they had an AWS account, so it's made a small script. They just connect to AWS, get all the external IPs, and then it deploys scanner with the schedule, more or less. So during days and only between 11 and 3, the scanners were running. So then it deploys all the scanners for 1 week, and I just have to wait. And then after all scanners were done, the week was ended, I could go in Kibana and started looking for results. And it's so nice to just be able to full text search for things, and also remove things that you don't want to see. So for example, I can screen search for open ports, and then instantly one database port pops up. Then, okay, this database port here. You search for it in a full text search with Kibana Elasticsearch, and you can instantly find which EPs belong to, and you send it to the client. So, okay, this IP here has a database port open. Of course, I said before that Samma is in the scanner, but it starts many scanners. And the scanners that we have is just basic open source scanner. Nmap is of course used. Nikto is also supposed to be used here. And Tsunami is one of the free scanners that we have running today. And I think you all have seen it before. Nmap is a great network port scanner. Nikto is an application web scanner. And Tsunami is Google's latest open source scanner. Yeah. So those are the most use cases for Samma, but I think you can use it for anything. You can store scanners, and then you get the results into Elasticsearch, which means that you can search for it. Yeah, sorry, now we come on to the next one. So this also brings back to the lesson learned when work with scanners at before at enterprise. The problem with keeping updated target list, and this is mostly for maybe production scanning, because you get new services being deployed, and then today you have to take that IP domain and you want to send it to the scanning vendor or the scans, and they have to start it, and then when it's removed, you have to go back and say, okay, you have to remove this. And this is of course a problem, because some applications don't get scanned that should be scanned, and sometimes you scan targets that you have removed. And to resolve this, I set up this console of Samma.io. That's a small portal. And what it does, the operator will run in a cluster that starts the scans. If you add a guy key, they will report up to this console all the targets it finds. So you get more or less a list with IP or domain names. And then we're working on expanding the services here, for example, to DevSecOps. So you can choose when a new target is deployed, say, okay, this is a PCI-DSS target. Okay, I need another scanning vendor to this one. Or I don't have any external scans outside, so I want to deploy external scans from my side. Then you can trigger those things with rules from the console. Yeah.
Nice. Thanks, Mattias, for that overview.
Yeah.
So Mattias has just told you all about Samma, and the great thing is you don't even just have to listen, you can actually try it out for yourself in the sandbox. So the sandbox concept, as I previously explained, it's just a playground basically where you can test the tool. So it's a bit different from our previous courses, from our course structure. We've given you exercises to help teach you how to use the different tools features, but none of the exercises are obligatory. You can play around with the provided resources as you like, as long as you don't scan other people's applications. Remember, it's always important to only scan the applications you have been given permission to scan or your own demo apps. So you will also be given 3 hours lab time. The lab will destroy automatically after these 3 hours, so only spin it up once you have 3 hours to spare. So I'll quickly just show you the platform just so that you have an idea of how to navigate it.
We can also say that we have some test deployment that you can test the application against. So there are some domains and some applications that you can test against.
Yes, exactly. So we've given you all the resources you need to test the sandbox out. So these include, like Mattias was saying, test applications. But I will show you this in a moment. So if you go to courses and you search for Samma, then you'll come across the sandbox. And we've created a small prep lab that just tells you about Samma and the sandbox. And at the end, you'll see you have the option to choose the hands-on lab, which is the sandbox. And here is where you'll create. I've already actually created this lab, so I'll just select continue. But once you've created the lab here, then you will only have 3 hours. So just keep a note of that. Here you can see we have the running timer. And here you can also keep an eye on how much time you have left. And here we've created the resources for you. So you'll be given an online IDE because you'll be working from the terminal. And we can actually log into it here. You can see I've already been deploying some of the scanners and the resources. So in this, and we also have a kubeconfig file that you need to add because we've deployed a Kubernetes cluster. And in the Kubernetes cluster, you will deploy your scanners and also your targets that you'll be scanning. So we've given you all the instructions. You don't have to look for the information on how to run the scanner or Samma and the different scanners outside in other documentation, but we've also given you a link to Samma's resources if you want to go play with Samma after you've been gone through the lab. And here you can see we give you instructions on how to deploy it, how to access the dashboard that Mattias has been telling you about, where you'll be able to visualize all the results that you've gotten. So for example, here I already have Grafana, so I ran Samma right before, and here you can see we found some open port with Tsunami, and here we have Nmap data. I think it's still running. So, but you can, I'm not going to show you too much because I don't want to spoil the surprise. You can find this out for yourself. And then you'll also get a chance to try out Kibana. Like Mattias was saying, that he loves this for pen testing, and you can go see for yourself if you can find the open ports in the Kibana results. And we'll also tell you about additional features that are coming up that are quite cool. And you can also find out about Mattias's his own contacts, and if you would like to maybe help him on the project, it is open source, which is the amazing thing that we can collaborate with each other to make it even better. Yeah, let me just go back. Yeah, and as I said, like register on the platform, then you'll get access to the sandbox. And we also have a help button. Let me just quickly go back. If you're stuck or you want more time, you can just select it and ask for support for more time, or maybe some pointers. Right. And then I would like to also ask a question. So we've been telling you about the sandbox, and now you've seen some of the sandbox's functionalities. We'd love to know from you, what would you like to see in a sandbox? Maybe some of you have tried out a sandbox before. So would you like to see just the tool and you just want a very bare sandbox? Or would you like to actually be given background information and resources so that you can find out what are the different functionalities for yourself to try out with the tool? Or would you actually be taught with exercises in the sandbox how to use it? While we're waiting for people to answer, maybe I'll ask Mattias, have you ever worked with any sandboxes? And what do you like about sandboxes or not like?
Yeah, but I have a bad experience from a sandbox. I
Oh, no.
like developer, one of those tests when you're doing OWASP top 10 vulnerability. They're giving you like, okay, this is a vulnerable application, and then you have to go into the code and fix it. It was kind of fun, but it was hard because I'm not a Java developer, and this was actually in Java. It was really hard. But,
could you collaborate?
Sandbox I used.
Okay. Did you have to do it by yourself, or were you allowed to ask for help?
No, we were. Luckily, I have some Java developer, and I can just not gonna say, okay, I need some help here. I don't really understand what's going on here. That was the last sandbox I was using. But
okay. Well, luckily in the sandbox, we tell you how to use the tool, right?
Yeah, I think this is more when you get to play with the tool. I think that's, you get some hints like, here's something you might want to scan, and then you can scan it, and then you get results, and then you can by yourself dig into the result to find out what's going on. I hope that everybody likes to look at the results from the scanning cabana. It's great fun to search around and see what's going on. You learn a lot from the application.
I feel like a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
All right. So it seems like we have a good audience here. Most want exercises. So of course, we have one result, just wants a tool. So you can always ignore the exercises that we've given, and then you just play with the tool yourself. But we also have 75% that actually appreciates having exercises that teaches you how to use the tool. So that's also cool to see and to know for future sandboxes. Thank you for your contribution. Okay, so we've reached the end of our presentation. Do we have time now for questions? If anyone has a question, they can put it in the chat box.
Yeah, I have a question for you, Inge. What does Samma?
Yes. Oh, I'm being put on the spot. Well, luckily I found out over the last few weeks what Samma means. Even though I did live in Sweden before, so I should actually have some Swedish knowledge. But I found out recently, living in the Netherlands, what's a bit of Swedish. So Samma apparently means the same.
Yeah.
But maybe you can explain to us why you called it Samma.
Yeah, it was actually a long time ago. We had a problem. It was the same time that British Airways got hacked, and they added like a JSON file to the application. And at that time, we started building a tool that just get the application and get all the data, and then looked at it. It always looked the same, so we can check that our production had the same, JavaScript and tools that it has before. If it changes, then we'll be alerted, and that way we could get alerted if someone added something or changed something with JavaScript. And from that, it got me thinking, this is the way how you want to do monitoring with scanning, because this is how I do monitoring of servers and applications. When everything is fine and just the same, you you don't want to be alerted, but if something changes or something other happens, then you want to be alerted. And that's what I think the name Samma comes up to. So if everything is the same, Samma, then I don't want to be alerted. But if something happens and move away from the normal path, then I want to be alerted. Yeah.
The philosophy of the tool is really well captured in the name itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we don't have any questions from the audience, so I think we'll end the event right here. I hope everyone registers, and then you can continue finding out about Samma in the sandbox itself. All right. Thanks again, Mattias, for joining us today. It was really nice to have you here and to hear about Samma. And also thanks to everyone who joined us. I hope you go and register and try out the sandbox, because we'd really love to hear what you think about Samma.